with talking about Joe Biden. Those of you might not know this, actually, but Joe Biden is actually the president of the United States, according to reports, and I've got an article here. Don't worry about that. So I got an article here on NPR. Biden endorses reforming the Senate filibuster. Here's what that means. So this is NPR saying it, not me. Well, I am saying it, but NPR is also saying it, and I'm reading them say that. We have this old-fashioned television here with some newspaper. Anyway, many Democrats hope President Biden's endorsement of changing the Senate filibuster to one in which a senator actually has to talk for potentially hours on end could mean greasing the wheels for major progressive priorities. This is actually pretty good. This is very good. So this is like the kind of biggest roadblock in between Democrats and actually doing their fucking jobs, right? So there's like, the whole classic meme of like Republicans gain power and they do everything possible with their power, and then Democrats gain power and the Republicans do everything possible within their power. So basically this is the stopgap. This is the major kind of like what prevents Democrats from doing their fucking jobs for the most part. And so let's read into this a little bit more. Many Democrats hope President Biden's endorsement, blah, 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 yes, I already read that. You have to do it, Biden, a former longtime senator, said during an ABC interview. You have to do it. Like, is there like an audio clip here? Hold up. I didn't even know.
If we just took the tax rate back to what it was when Bush was president,
you have to do it.
Top rate paid 39.8%, 6% in federal taxes. 6%. That would raise $230 billion.
No one gives a shit about these numbers, by the way.
Because I'm providing a tax credit for child care.
Tax credit. And then
for the poor, for the middle class.
6%.
Keeping people. And by the way, my proposal in the relief plan I put forward,
look how he's holding a pen.
It creates 7 million jobs, according to a whole range of people, including Moody's on Wall Street, number one, increases the GDP by over $1 trillion, actually raises income in America, and diminishes debt in America. I mean, what are these guys talking about?
By your own admission, you just say you're not likely to get Republican votes for the tax increase. You're not likely to get Republican votes for H.R. 1, expanding voting rights, or the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. So aren't you going to have to choose? I know you've been reluctant to do away with the filibuster. Aren't you going to have to choose between preserving the filibuster and advancing your agenda?
Yes. But here's the choice. I don't think you have to eliminate the filibuster. You have to do it what it used to be when I first got to the Senate and back in the old days when you used to be around there. And that is that a filibuster, you had to stand up and command the floor. And you had to keep talking alone. You couldn't call for, no one could say, quorum call. Once you stopped talking, you lost that, and someone could move in and say, I moved the question of. So you got to work for the filibuster.
So you're for that reform. You're for bringing back the talking filibuster.
I am.
Here we go.
That's what it's supposed to be. Look, I think, don't hold me to the numbers, George, but I think
the numbers
between 1960 and 2000, there were like, I'm making this number up, I don't know. There were like, 50 filibusters. Now they're like 200 since then. Since that
just put a hold on it, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, so the idea, it almost is getting to the point where there's, democracy's having a hard time functioning. And so, look, I'm not saying this is going to be easy, George, but I do believe there's enough Republicans over time who are going to have, look,
they haven't had that epiphany you said you were going to see in the campaign.
No, well, I've only been here 6 weeks, pal. Okay, give me a break.
6 weeks, pal.
6 weeks.
Yo, I fucking...
It's going to be easy, George. But I do believe there's enough Republicans over time who are going to have... Look,
they haven't had that epiphany you said you were going to see in the campaign.
No, well, I've only been here 6 weeks, pal.
Fucking
pal. Give me a break. Been here 6 weeks. I think the epiphany is going to come between now and 2022. This is there's 78% of the people say they support this program. 52% of Republicans. Let's assume it's off by 15%. You're going to go home and campaign. Republican voters want that $1,500 because they're in trouble. Republican voters.
Anyway, so blah, blah, blah. Let's read the rest of this fucking article. I'm glad I played the audio clip. I've been here 6 weeks, pal. That's amazing. It was an about-face from his prior stance against changing the Senate procedure. What it used to be when I first got to the Senate back in the old days, blah, 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 where do you listen to that? It's a common misconception that senators are already required to do what Biden and many other Democrats want to see enacted. But despite the filibuster's origins, the depictions in movies like the 1939 film Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, senators do not have to stand and talk seemingly endlessly to delay an outcome. All it takes is, in today's U.S. Senate, is a few keystrokes from a staffer who sends an email registering a senator's objection and triggering 60-vote requirements to advance a bill to a final up or down vote without having to make a speech or any other effort. While many Democrats are advocates for a so-called talking filibuster, they do not appear ready to mix the 60-vote threshold to advance the legislation once a senator stops speaking. But the number of Republicans worry that this is the first step down that path, as Democrats continue to run into roadblocks on legislation they want passed. Blah, blah, blah. You already get the point. He's only been here 6 weeks, pal. Basically, the idea here is get rid of that filibuster. We can get shit like, I don't know, $15 minimum wage? What's Joe Manchin gonna say now? And, you know, that's the idea. Is you put Joe Manchin at the fulcrum and not fucking, you know, Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley, like those crazy motherfuckers. You know, they're crazy. These motherfuckers are nuts. Like, they're out of control, man. Like, someone needs to put them on a leash and they need to fucking, like, go outside and pee-poo or something. These motherfuckers are fucked up. I'm talking about the Republicans. But the Democrats, again, they love not doing their jobs. Like, to them, oh, being able to not do my job is the most amazing thing in the world. So they like, a lot of them, like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, are pretty afraid of the filibuster because if this does get reformed in the way it's being talked about, and Joe Manchin has said that he agrees with this as well, by the way, but if it does get reformed in the way that they're talking about, they're gonna have to actually do work. They're going to have to show up with their goddamn pens. Look at that. See, I got 2 of them here. Say I can pass one out to Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. They're going to have to show up and do some fucking work for goddamn once in a fucking lifetime. But anyway, that's interesting. And he's only been here 6 weeks, pal. God, that's amazing.